Hello and welcome back to the Real Estate Roundup podcast. I am your host, Kobe Zinn, and I am joined here as always by my co host, Tony Flores and Andres Martinez. We are all licensed real estate agents here in the great state of Texas, and we will be covering industry news within real estate, both locally and nationally as well here on our podcast. But today, I do want to kind of talk a little bit about some of our unique experiences here as real estate entrepreneurs that the three of us all share, and cover a little bit about I will say a hot topic within the real estate brokerage industry, which is the rise of eXp Realty and why it's been so popular with agents and why we've been growing so fast. So before we dig into all of that, I do want to give a big congratulations to my co-host Andres here for being at eXp for 90 days and being very successful in his first 90 days here. So Andres, congratulations for your first 90 days here. And my
Yes.
question to you is, what has your experience been like these past 90 days?
It's been eye-opening. It's actually been an awesome experience. Just the accessibility that I have to other agents, other investors. I got to be a part of eXpCon, so I got to meet people from all over the world, and a lot of people just across the states that are successful. One thing I realized is it wasn't just me that was interested in my success. It was everyone around me. Any information that they could provide me, um, any advice, they were open to give me advice. And also, just here's a little bit of my knowledge, right? I do a lot of new builds here in the San Antonio area. So, in this market, it's been going well for me, and my experience has been great.
I love to hear that, man. It's so happy for me to hear that you've had a good experience here for your first 90 days, especially because you are an experienced agent who's been in real estate industry for a little bit of time now. So I mean, just from your perspective of joining EXP, right? Would you mind kind of sharing just how did you get introduced to how did you get introduced to the brokerage, kind of what your mindset was at the time when you were making that transition, and how exactly did you make that decision to come over to EXP? Because I'm sure within your career you've heard about the company multiple times, but there was probably something there as far as you being making that decision to join the company.
So I met Tony. We met at a GRI class. We were both, uh, as far as career wise, we were young agents in the real estate space, and we were eager to learn. So I invited Tony to lunch. We sat down. We just shared. We hit it off as far as just learning a little bit about family. He told me a little bit about what he thrives in real estate, which is like investing. He also told me he does a lot of real estate, just helping buyers and sellers. But he also eased in this information about EXP. And we had lunch a couple of times because it was like 4 days over a 90 day. So each month you would spend 4 days at the GRI class. So we had lunch quite a few times. And during those times, he would just give me a little bit more information, and I would just get more curious. A lot of the stuff that he was presenting to me interests me.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one of the benefits of being at EXP, which we'll cover a little bit here later in the show here as we share our experiences. But Tony, how about yourself? You've been here with EXP for a little bit longer than Andres has. So from a little bit more, I would say, seasoned perspective as far as being with the company for, I think, coming up on closer to 2 years, 3 years now. What has your experience been like? Kind of being here a little bit longer.
Mm.
Well, really, EXP was my first brokerage because when I got licensed, I had to make a choice as a new agent. That's one thing that a lot of people don't realize that as an agent, you can't just, go out on your own. You work under the license of a brokerage. So the brokerage choice is so important for anybody, because they have different brokerages, have different resources, different kind of pay structures, which we have, what they have like commission splits or caps, how much they'll take, at certain points, like per year, right, for caps. So I was just learning about that whole thing, because really my intention when I got licensed was just, I wanted this to be part of my business, but I didn't want it to be necessarily, I didn't see it to be a big part of it. But as I learned more about EXP, and then the different ongoing ability to continue to earn stock, earn residual income through just referring people to our business, I really just got more interested in that. But yeah, as far as joining EXP and what I saw as far as value, I kind of looked at, from my background, had been, earning stock through, stock grants and different stuff like that through my previous corporate career, and I like that aspect. So I saw that EXP had a different program, but it was something that was familiar to me. So that's something that I definitely liked. That was something that piqued my interest, and I understand, from that point, it was presented to me like there's not a lot of people who do this. And I was like, well, then certainly like this model. And but just learning different people, and then aligning myself with, EXP itself as a brokerage is a very accepting and a very open platform. So there's different groups and different organizations within EXP. I happen to, come across a group of investors which spoke to me as well. So that's kind of why I wanted to, kind of link up with the investor group here, because they spoke my language, they understood. We talked about different strategies and different things that I was doing, and how, it's for certainly, acceptable and certainly able to be done here within EXP. So that's kind of what interested me as well. So yeah, I love the training, and then also we have specific, you know, additional masterminds. We have them practically every weekday. So really love that as well.
Right. Yeah. So there's just so much information, right? And I think when I speak to agents all the time who are, potentially looking at the model, one of the questions that I get is, well, how much support or training, especially if they're a little bit newer, do I get here at the company? It's completely cloud based. How does that work? And I always, think of me answering the question as, you're probably going to get so much support and training that it might almost overwhelm you, and you have to be
Yeah.
strategic as to which ones you take advantage of and which ones you kind of just leave for later as well. So that is something that I think a lot of newer agents, or just really real estate agents in general, have concerns over when they're looking at new opportunities and new brokerage models, because it is a change, right? And it's a big change as far as how it impacts your business and how it impacts their lifestyle and their income as well. So just to kind of uh, you know, go on that path, right? Tony, you were already a real estate investor before you got your real estate license. So you were already very, I would say, kind of in the business, if you will. So you understood some of the
Mhm.
intricacies of the business, and you kind of knew what you were looking for. So as far as from your perspective as a brand new agent, what are some concerns that you had before joining EXP? And how did those concerns kind of play out as you integrated into the business model?
My concerns really was, I was already accustomed to be working from home, and I wasn't really interested in going to an office for myself. I wasn't interested in, showing up at a certain time. I have family that has, some medical needs, some appointments, and I love, having that flexibility, being, working from home. So I didn't want to have to necessarily report somewhere, be be a certain place, this time to that time. Some of the brokerages have phone duties where they're required to answer the phone for a certain time. And those types of things, just weren't interested. I didn't have an appeal to me. And so I didn't really want to do that. I didn't want to necessarily pay for desk fees and that sort of thing. So what I found through EXP is like, okay, I can still continue to work from home. I can still do the types of work that I am used to doing, as far as seeking people who need help, with possible problem properties, whether it be a death in the family, probate, or any other scenarios like foreclosures and stuff like that. I could still continue to work with those types of clients, and if it didn't work out as an investment, I could certainly uh, create a client for a retail listing. So that's one of the things that I found through EXP, is like, had a lot of flexibility in that regard.
Right, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I think a lot of why a lot of investors I've seen are gravitating towards this model, because they do have the flexibility to run their business the way they see fit, instead of having, like you said, certain hours, or having to be somewhere a certain place. And it's a big time saving tool, being able to do everything cloud based as well, right? So
Yeah.
instead of having to drive down to an office 20-30 minutes away. So Andres, now back to you. You came from a little bit different perspective, or a little bit different background, in that you had experiences with another brokerage already. You're already a practicing agent for a couple of years. So what about any concerns that you had, right? So you already familiar with an existing system, an existing pay structure. Did you have any concerns before, or maybe even any fears before moving over, kind of jumping ship over to EXP? And again, same question to you: how did those concerns kind of play out? Did they end up being true, or did you kind of see it play out a different way?
So my misconception was when I started as a real estate agent, was if I was a part of a smaller brokerage, I would get more accessibility and I wouldn't get lost. I got some awesome training at my last brokerage, but when I decided to move to EXP, one of my concerns or one of my fears was, hey, it's 90,000, it was 88,000 agents at that point. And I was like, I can easily get lost. And am I going to have the accessibility? Well, after the second day, going into EXP World, and just connecting with a broker and going into the broker room and being able to have direct access to a broker, that fear was conquered there. And then as far as just me being able to work from home, me being able to how can I best word this? I'm more productive under this model. I love the way SkySlope works, right? I'm able to upload my documents. If there's anything that needs attention, there's a note on there. I'm able to address it. If there's something in that note that I don't understand, I could go to the broker room. I could get with the transaction team. I can get with the broker if it's more uh, a translation or interpretation question. So just having that accessibility with EXP, those were my concerns. My concerns was I gonna get lost? If anything, it has allowed me to grow my business. I think I produced more in 90 days than I did in 14 months at my last brokerage. And it's just, I'm able to tackle on stuff where I was a little afraid. No, I will um, take care of my client. I will, if there's a question that I'm not expert on it, I'm able to seek the broker's room and I'm able to get that answered and relay that information to my client. So in this market where everything fluctuates, right? Like the market 3 months ago is not the same market today. Um, we got to be able to be flexible, always learn. If there's a document that's updated, it's automatically updated on SkySlope. So just having a second, third, fourth, fifth set of eyes has helped me grow my business.
Right, absolutely. And that's something I don't think people know a lot, or it doesn't get talked about as much here with EXP agents, which is the seamless process of being able to close and transact business a lot more smoothly, a lot more efficiently. And like you mentioned, that is really a great testimony of what you were able to do here is that you produced more in 90 days than you think in your previous 12 14 months because of all of these different systems and support that you're getting here at the brokerage, which is really cool. So as far as just your experience with getting support, how have you seen as far as accessibility goes, aside from the brokers and how that works and how you're able to get broker support, just from your immediate circle and just the agents that you get to work with, within an 88,000 agent brokerage like you mentioned, how are you able to, just in your own perspective, not get lost and still have that kind of high touch support, if you will?
Um, I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier. It's like everyone at EXP is interested and excited for your success, right? So everybody invests on each other, and there's no like I'm competing for something. It's like, hey, let's work towards your goal. Whatever you need from me, here goes my phone number, here goes my email. We get onto the masterminds. I have a great group with the Wolf Pack. Just having more resources to come through that lane of the wolf pack. It's just everyone that I work with at EXP. Um, I could be someone I have never met at EXP, and I might see them somewhere. And as soon as they're aware I'm a part of EXP, they're excited to communicate with me. They're going to give me their phone number. They're going to tell me how I can reach them. And they're going to tell, honestly, they share their experience with me and how it changed their life. So because they've experienced success within the EXP model, everybody wants you to experience that success. I think instead of trying to keep people away from experiencing EXP, people want to share that with you. And that's what I like about the brokerage because we were in Las Vegas. We met a couple of very successful agents, and they were able to share some awesome stories with me.
Yeah, and we'll get to that experience a little bit later here, Andres, because I do want to hear. I do want to hear your experience. I do want you to share your experience at these conferences that we were just at. But you're absolutely. I think you hit the nail around the head there, and that's people at EXP are invested in each other's success because I think it's how the model was built, right? We are all incentivized by the inherent nature of the model to help our peers and our agents succeed and have more success than we actually have ourselves, and that's how we are rewarded and incentivized for continuing to do that. So this next question here that I have for the both of you, and we'll start with Tony this time, is we've all kind of looked a little bit at different brokerage models, whether like you were saying, Tony, if you're just a brand new agent looking at different models, or if Andres, in your case, you've experienced different brokerage models that are out there. In your opinion, what makes EXP different, and how do you see EXP as standing above the rest of the brokerages that are out there? And why did you make that decision as far as the actual model and how the company compensates you? So we will start with you, Tony, first on this one.
All right. Yeah. So kind of coming in from just from the outside, not having a whole lot of experience in different models or different compensation structures, I did look into a few different models. One of and really, I was just interested you know, who's going to essentially help develop me in the first process, and the other one is like, okay, like who's good with me just doing transactions, and is there, if there's a way to earn additional income that I didn't know of, I was interested in that. And so yeah, essentially that's kind of when I saw what EXP offered, it just checked so many of those boxes. um and from I probably know more now that I've been with EXP longer to probably answer that question. You know, EXP, the leadership team is just always seems to be improving upon their current model, and they're offering different things to essentially to continue to improve. So they're not just stuck in one set commission structure. Now, every agent gets paid, gets it does have the same offering, right? There's not one person gets a, necessarily there's no individual agent that gets like a sweetheart deal, and no individual agent that gets, someone else that comes in right behind them gets another one. So I think that's really good. But periodically they will have, certain incentives, and to bring in, like, for instance, right now we have different stuff for brokerages, and for teams that'll be like an upfront type incentive, which I think is very innovative. And I think that's part of the way EXP is operating, just like very innovative, to say, okay, there's changes in the industry, and if someone didn't make a decision to join EXP, a year ago or 2 years ago, what could have they have earned as far as you know, um, just several different incentives. So they have a couple of different programs. Boost is for brokerage, and then there's another one for teams as well. So that's a limited time offer, which is really interesting. And then there's one for agents that also is limited time as well. So I think that's something that's really really cool to have limited incentives. And but everyone who's coming on during this time has those incentives, so I think that's pretty cool. And then the other thing that I like about EXP is, like, just the growth, just the ability to be able to have essentially a network of agents, almost like having your own brokerage within the EXP umbrella. Within EXP brokerage, you can essentially create your own brokerage that can grow, to all the different countries that we're involved in. I believe there are 24, if not more, at this point. That's another testament to some of the great leadership that we have here within EXP, how we're able to expand so quickly during a short period of time. Michael Valdez is one of the top tier leadership, and he was instrumental in doing that. So I just and also just being able to see everyone. I've been to, we mentioned EXP Con here, been to two. Andres came on right before our other EXP convention, so he could see, everybody, even though we're at this point like 90,000 people. We also had, we can see a lot of the agents, and going to these conventions. We see Glenn Sanford, the founder, is right there, going to the same rooms that we're going to at EXPCon. Michael Valdez and a lot of those guys are just there, and mixing in, available to answer any questions and give feedback. Our brokerage, um, we have upwards of 10 individual brokers in the Texas market. I think there's closer to 12, and we see them at different things. We're participating in some of the local events that they're having here as well, and we can shake their hand and talk to them just like we're talking to any other broker. And so I always feel very connected to them, and don't feel like it's, that we're on an island. So that's one thing that I really like about EXP.
Right. And that's something I think, we were talking a little bit about it earlier as well, where agents feel like they're on an island, but really it's the complete opposite because of the way the model has been designed. It's actually connecting agents
Yeah.
all over the world, like you said, because it really is a way for agents to be able to earn income like a broker through a revenue share model without any of the risks and liability involved and without any of the supervision responsibilities that a broker has to carry and really without any of the overhead as well, which can be really taxing for an agent to even try to start their own brokerage. Whereas now at this model, you're not only able to do it, you're able to do it at scale across different markets. Whereas if a traditional broker can only recruit agents and build their teams and organizations within their own market, at eXp you're able to do it all over the world. So it's actually bringing agents together and connecting them at a level that I really haven't seen before as well. So same question for you, Andres. You've been with the other brokerage and really kind of based on our conversations, the compensation structure for you in the past actually on paper seemed like it would be better than the compensation structure at EXP. So as far as your perspective, why did you decide to come over here even though on paper it might not seem like such a great deal? And how has that experience been for you as far as the business model here?
So as far as the business model, as far as the compensation, it's pretty transparent with EXP. It's 80/20, but 10 of that percent it's reinvested either through revenue share or equity, right? Um, the one thing that realtors and all of us are in the industry is we live from transaction to transaction to transaction. Once you finalize that transaction, pay your taxes, you enjoy your money, that's it. That transaction will stop working for you. With EXP, you're able to get the aging equity program where you can invest 5% of your commission. You can also get stock shares, right? And there's different even revenue share where you close on a transaction, you invest a little bit of it, EXP invests a little bit of it in you, and it keeps growing. So I was able to open my account today, and I've only been here 90 days, had a couple of $1,000 in there. It actually made put a big smile on my face. I was excited, and I know that 10 years from now, that will grow. And I want to grow with the company, and I want the company to grow as well. So by being able to not just look at life nearsighted and look for the long term, is actually very exciting for me. Another thing is the EXP model. What I like about EXP the most is that everyone can be themselves. They could go in their own lane, and within that lane, what EXP does is they find a very successful person to be the head of that specific lane. They educate everyone else on down, and they're willing to share that information. So if you're an investor, you're going to have the best investor that's a part of EXP, and they're going to help you grow. If you want to get into the luxury market, you have great people with success there, and they're going to pass the information down. So they're the accessibility to people that actually do it day by day, and they're not just talking, or it's not a slideshow. You're actually sitting in the same room getting valuable information to help you grow your business. That's what I like about EXP. They're not afraid. They're not kicking the can on AI. They're not kicking the can on relevant information. They're tackling it. They're facing it head first, like an aluminum can, right? You kick it down, it's worth nothing. You crush it, right? And you recycle it, you might make a couple of cents. So they're investing in us by giving us information, that might cause fear within real estate agents. Sometimes um, we are all afraid of AI, right? And I don't think we're afraid of AI because it's something that's bad. It's just we don't know, and it's uncertain. I have got so much information about AI in the last 6 weeks that I'm actually excited to work with AI. And that's because instead of running from it, instead of kicking the can, we want to tackle it. We want to learn it so we could um, kind of program the bots to do what we want them to do, right? So we want to work with it. We don't want to work against it or shy away from it because it's a part of our world that I like that eXp just tackles any concerns that we have head on.
Right. And that's one of the big benefits of having such a globally connected network of agents here. Because, like you're saying, we have the best agent in cold calling, teaching cold calling. We have the best investor agents teaching those strategies. We have the best, most forward thinking agents teaching social media and AI. So, with any of these new technologies, these new strategies, like you were saying, new information, even possibly the real estate industry, compensation structures we all I'm sure have heard recently being having going through changes. We have some of the most forward thinking agents on the front end of this learning about it and then sharing that information, really being incentivized to share this information to all of us so that we can stay ahead of the game as well and not get left behind. That's a really big benefit there. And I love something that you talked about a little bit earlier as well, which is, agents, whenever they start on the 1st of January, they reset, right? They make their commissions in the previous year, and then for every transaction that they close, they're essentially unemployed until the next transaction. And I was on a mastermind call even earlier today with one of the top producing agents making 7 figures a year back in his heyday when he was in top producing status. He even mentioned that in the first year that he made 7 figures as an agent, the following year in the 1st of January, he even had to think to himself that, hey, do I really want to go ahead and do this again? Or can I build something that'll last me forever, right? So it's not something that agents think about. Even the top agents in the industry, they don't have access to these resources at EXP, or these I would say retirement plans and long-term wealth building plans that EXP offers us all across the board here. So it's really something incredible and unique. And before we sign off here and kind of let you guys share a little bit about how people can follow you and keep up to date with you guys, Andres, I have to get back to you on this, and I have to have you share the experience on this. And I know it's pretty impossible to do, but you've been at a couple of our events, two in the past 90 days, and a couple of local ones. How would you describe these in-person events that EXP hosts to somebody who's never experienced one?
The best way I could describe it is inspiring. It's very motivational. So I got to go to the first one, and it was just me by myself. Tony had invited me. I went out, and it was an eye opener. I was ready to scream EXP with everyone else there, but I wasn't a part of EXP at the time. So when I did make the transition, I did make the transition as a domestic team with my wife. So fully invested. My wife is a part of EXP, right? So I was so eager to take my wife to EXPCon because I wanted her to experience the energy, the information we were about to gather, and just I wanted her to rub elbows with other successful agents, and just let her see how everyone at EXP was going to be invested in her growth as well. Um, we had a blast. We got to go to Vegas. Honestly, we're pretty frequent people that go to Vegas. We love boxing. And me and my wife can also share this. The best time I ever had was when I went there with EXP because it was focused on uh, my growth, her growth. Um, any questions that we had about the company, we got answered, right? And then as far as my worry about AI eased off a lot, to where I was kind of like, it's coming. Well, at EXPCon, I was told it's here. So I decided to learn it, right? So um, my experience with the event is amazing. And I think everyone deserves to just experience it once, right? Just so they can understand that there is people in this world that have the same common interests as you. They're just invested in you as they are themselves, and they want to help you grow. So I thank Tony, I thank Kobe, and I thank everyone that has exposed me um, to all this new information with EXP. And I can tell you, those have been my happiest 90 days in real estate.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's something that I don't think a lot of people hear, right? When they're talking about brokerages. So it is truly something that I think really shocking to the industry. And when people hear about other EXP agents talk about the brokerage, this is why, right? And now you have a better idea of, the success agents are having here and some of the reasons behind why we're able to have this kind of success and why we're so excited about the business model and the opportunity moving forward and all that good stuff. So, yeah, so just wrapping things up here. If you liked what we had to talk about today and you want to get a little bit more information, or if you just want to, keep up to date with some great people, some great agents like Tony and Andres, Tony, we'll start with you here. What are some of the best ways for people to either keep up to date with you or reach out to you directly?
Well, I'm on several social channels, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, but if they just go to tonyexp.com, TonyEXP.com, that's essentially my digital business card. So all my handles will be within that link. So feel free to reach out to me there, or just go to that website and you'll see all my contact info there.
All right, and we'll make sure to leave that in the description. Andres, how about you?
As far as for me, they can follow me, direct message me on Instagram at Andres Sells New Homes. And if anyone needs any information or if they just have a question, reach out to me.
Sounds good. We'll make sure to leave all of that in the description below so that way it's easy to find. But other than that, thank you for tuning in to the second episode of the Real Estate Roundup podcast. Make sure to tune in regularly for our industry updates and any new insights into real estate, being an agent, being an investor, and all that good stuff. So I want to thank you again for tuning in, and we will see you on the next show. Take care.
We'll see you.
Take care.